Hello everyone. I hope this development diary expectation and tips PowerPoint sort of helps you with understanding what my expectations are for the development diary. You all did a great job on your outline. So I just thought this sort of might help you as you go through your project. So the first page here is actually different photos from my own learning autobiography I did, and the three different photos which focused on the cognitive, biosocial, and psychosocial. I just thought that was a fun way to start this. So what I want to talk about is when you introduce your project. It is very important in that first section that you tell me how your project is organized. How do you want me to review it, go through it? Are there links or places I need to go to outside of your project? Like, are you linking to a Google Doc or a web page or whatever? If you are doing a blog, it would be really helpful if you take that first blog entry to tell me how to navigate your blog spot. And also, when you actually upload your project into the submission assignment area, be sure to check that all the links work, and that I have easy access to your entire project and any permissions I might need. And another thing that you could easily overlook as you work on this project is to put your name on it. Whether it is a paper, a blog, a binder, it needs to have your name on it. So on the right here, you can see an example of the front page of my learning autobiography. And what do I expect? This is APA format. So remember, everything that you write must be tied to the text. I can't tell you how important this is. You're going to start writing these different sections and you're going to be telling me a lot of stories. And it's really easy to sort of dig down deep into those stories and not necessarily figure out how they relate to your different stages of growth. But you actually must do that because that is the focus of the project. So you must tie the different factors of your growth to the text and you must cite it. So you can see the example that I have on the right and how I've talked about my sort of learning development and how I cited it. And also, if you're doing like a YouTube, something in which is an oral presentation, you can still cite it. And you can cite it by actually saying, okay, on page 177, Berger talks about the development of the spoken language. I talked early at 15 months, I was saying words like da 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 da. So that you can even cite when you're doing a YouTube. So I know another big question is going to be, how much is enough for this project? Well, I'd like to say until it's done, but I know that's sort of hard to conceptualize. So I did some thinking about this and figured out that you're probably going to need at least 2 pages of written stories and tying it to those three sections, the biosocial, the cognitive, and the psychosocial. So you're going to need that's about 750 words. That said, I know that some sections will be longer and some a little shorter, and that's okay. So here's a good tip for you. As you write the sections down, write everything that you can think of, and then later go back and edit it. And edit it for what you believe are the highlights and how it ties to the text. Again, gonna say it again, tie everything to the text. You are easily gonna get down in the weeds with these stories. And also remember that any photos, drawings, any types of artifacts about your development is welcome. For those of you that are sort of getting your family in on this project, feel free to quote them if they told you something interesting that you didn't know. So all in all, a good ballpark for this is probably about 25 pages double spaced. So what if I haven't lived some of the sections? So what do I write about? Well, all of you have not obviously lived all of these sections. Even I'm not there yet on a couple of them. So what you can write about is, as you think about those different stages of your life, what are your dreams and hopes for the future? The other thing is most of you know someone who has lived through most of those stages. What have you observed about their life, and how would you do things the same or maybe differently? So here's another question. Some parts of my life were painful to think about. What do I do for these sections? So all of us have had difficulties throughout our life, some more than others. I completely understand that. So what I suggest is do the best you can and step back from it a bit and see how the experience perhaps ties to the certain stages of your growth and perhaps how it changed you. If you really get stuck, let me know before submitting your project. And also, I'd like you to know that everything that you write is only for your eyes and mine. So how do I wrap this whole thing up? Well, that's section 11. That's the conclusion. So this is where you tell me what parts of your development surprised you, if there were some similarities, and also if you had to summarize your development in one sentence, what would you say? I know this is like an impossible question, so I don't necessarily need you to answer it in your project, but I want you to think about it as you summarize it. If you had to give it a go, what would you say? And obviously, do not forget to reference. You've been citing throughout your project. Remember that it needs to have a reference page, even though for most of you, it will only have that one reference, which is the burger text. And then the final, how am I grading this? So this is very clearly outlined on page 10 of the syllabus. You can earn up to 50 points for this project if you address the majority of the questions that I asked in each of the sections, and that you tie it all back to the text, to the different theorists or theories, and that you cited where appropriate. You presented an introduction about yourself and the project, and then at the end, you tied it all together with a reflective conclusion. And you did all of this in an organized, well-structured presentation format that includes correct grammar, spelling, and word structure as is appropriate for college level writing, and finally, that each section has concentrated on the 3 areas of development: the biosocial, the cognitive, and the psychosocial. I hope this helps you get a little bit better idea about what my expectations are for the project. Never ever hesitate to contact me if you have questions. Thanks.